Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the December 9th, 2014 Richland School District 2 Board of Trustees meeting. We've just come from executive session where we discussed the matters of the board and of the district. Thank you for your patience, and as I have said in the past, unfortunately, I need to apologize again tonight for our tardiness. There was a lot of information, and unfortunately, when there's one board meeting for the month of December, we try to cram it all in, so please forgive us for the delay, and thank you for being here, and thank you very much for your patience. At this time, Dr. Monica Elkins Johnson will do our inspirational moment and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Johnson.
You make the difference. Every day is a day to begin anew. Fresh and not so fresh little faces come each day to greet you. You make the difference in their lives for that day. You are the answer, their hope or dismay. It doesn't take much to bring out their joy. Try listening with your heart to each girl and each boy. You make the difference in their lives for that day. You are the answer, their hope or dismay. What kind of teacher will you be today? Don't think about salary. It's not about the pay. It's the things that you do and the words that you say. You are the answer, their hope or dismay. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the current agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Manning. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Brill. Any discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote.
No, this is the approval of the agenda, not the consent agenda.
Okay.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Also, I would like to ask you folks, if you would, to take a moment of silence and let us remember one of our students, Stephanie Martin, freshman at Clemson University, who passed away suddenly recently and was a graduate of Spring Valley High School. So if we take a moment of silence to remember her, I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Chair will entertain a motion.
Dr. Jackson, I move that we approve the consent agenda, including the addendum for the ratification of personnel.
Been moved by Mr. Plank. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next, we'll have special recognitions. Dr. Hand.
Yes, Libby Roof will be making those presentations.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Ham, staff, students, parents, and community members. We are honoring many of our top students, staff, and schools tonight for their outstanding achievements. Dr. Cheryl Caution Parker is going to be our board member who's going to come forward to pass out certificates and greet our award winners. Honored guests, as I call your name, please come forward. And we'll start with our big group of winners from the South Carolina Art Education Association. 4 of our professionals received top state awards, including Dr. Maria Kratsios, Janine Tucker, Gina Taylor, and Lane Laney. Please come forward. Dr. Kratsios was named the South Carolina Art Education Association's Administrator of the Year. She is the district's Senior Research Associate for Advanced Programs. Janine Tucker, Principal of Round Top Elementary, was named Outstanding Principal of the Year. Gina Taylor, a Blythewood High School art teacher, was named the Secondary Art Educator of the Year. And art teacher Lane Laney from Ridgeview High School was named Promising Young Professional. These awards were given at the annual conference in Greenville, and the president's organization said that the district's reputation for being a big proponent of visual and performing arts is reflected in the number of nominees and award winners. They had 14 total state awards, and Richland 2 won 4 of them. Congratulations, ladies. Our next honorees know a lot about money, and considering the time of year when people are probably spending a lot of money, we might need to get their assistance. Kelly Mill Middle School Inc. students, please come forward. These students have once again dominated the South Carolina Fall Finance Challenge. Not only did they win the top prize, the top 5 teams out of 57 were all from Kelly Mill Middle. Tonight, we are honoring our first place winners, Ashley Bickham, Kaya Robert Jones, Adrian Ludica, and Joycelyn Pagan. They are accompanied by their Finance Challenge coach, David Walker, Inc. lead teacher, Pam Bruni, and principal, Mark Sims. The Finance Challenge is an opportunity for them to demonstrate their personal finance by competing with students across the state. Congratulations. We have 2 groups tonight from Richland Northeast High School. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Assistant Principal Dr. Joe Watson to come forward. He's standing in for Principal Sabrina Suber. And with him coming up, also ask members of the Model United Nations team under the leadership of Lynn Washington to please come forward. As they're making their way up front, let me tell you about what they've done. Every year, the Model UN team goes to 2 competitions. The international one in New York City, which they won for 25 years. The team also attends the Southern United States Model United Nations Conference in Atlanta, which the school helped start 6 years ago. The conference brings together more than 500 delegates from public and private schools throughout the southern region, as well as from schools in the Midwest and the Northeast. It's a great warm-up for their New York trip, and it is no surprise that this team took the top prize this year, winning the Award of Distinction and the only research award. The team members' names are all listed on the screen, and we have with us tonight Model UN President Kevin Odell, Kate Baker, Matthew Chow, Kelly Lifshay, Julia Smith, Bilal Tabassum, Coach Samantha Rainwater, and Advisor Lynn Washington. Congratulations. Dr. Watson, you can stay up there, and we're going to bring up your Archives yearbook staff, who also won a state award. The 2014 yearbook won the Palmetto Award for the best yearbook in Class 3, which they received from the South Carolina Scholastic Press Association. Tonight, we have yearbook advisor Jenny Proctor and several members of the yearbook staff: Grace Forker, Brianna Ismail, Leslie Lobo, Bailey McCardle, Adriana Patterson, Catherine Grant, and Christina Grant. Congratulations, and we're looking forward to seeing your work in 2015. Thank you. Next, we have some fast swimmers with us tonight from Spring Valley High School. Would the state 4A champions in the boys 400-meter free relay please come forward? They are Alex Gregg, Carl Lobitz, Matthew Green, Thomas Agostini, and Coach Mike Lozer. And Principal Jeff Timoni will come up as well. The 4x100 freestyle relay team, which is 4 laps of freestyle by each participant, was seeded 6th headed into the event. But these young men knew what they had to do. Each swimmer swam in the relay, swam a personal best split time in their leg of the relay to drop almost 8 seconds from the total best time to win the event. So in case you missed that, they were seeded 6th and they came away first. Congratulations to each other. Twice a year, the South Carolina Junior Classical League has state competitions. This year, Ridgeview High School hosted the fall competition, and 3 of our high schools have top winners. Students, as I call you up, please come forward, and we invite your teachers and your principal to join you. The competition consisted of Roman fashion, Roman arts and craft, Latin test on vocabulary and mythology, as well as a Latin curtamen or a quiz bowl. From Blythewood High School, Liam Hobeck won Level 1 vocabulary, and his Latin teacher is Austin Chapman. Okay. And just when you come forward, we're going to keep you forward. And Principal Brenda Hafner. Get your certificate, and we'll take 1 group picture. The team from Spring Valley could not be here. They won the Advanced Curtamen. Their teacher is Christian Ugro. And from Ridgeview, students Grace Justice and Thomas Drummond won the curtamen. Grace Justice also placed first in the Roman history test, and Vieira Harris won first place in the Latin derivatives test. Vieira was also elected to the state secretary of the South Carolina Junior Classical League. Ridgeview's teacher and advisor is Richard Lucier, and his principal, Dr. Matt Foxworth, here is coming forward. And again, congratulations to Ridgeview for hosting a great event, and congratulations to all our Latin winners. All right, if you come to our meetings or watch them regularly, you're going to think that I'm either repeating myself or I've become a broken record. But I need to ask Donna Toiber to come up front again. Donna has won another impressive technology award. This one is called the Power to the People Digital Innovation Learning Award, which she received from the Digital Innovation and Learning Award Program. The honor recognizes her efforts to empower teachers, students, and other administrators to take on leadership roles and participate actively in change management. Toiber won the award for her work with the R2 Innovates Innovation Incubator. She and 16 other winners from across the country received their awards last month in Silicon Valley, California. And I believe it was last month's board meeting. You can watch a report on R2 Innovates. Congratulations. And I'm going to finish up by calling up 2 of our crossing guards, Harvey Jackson from Killian Elementary School and Wynetta Thomas from Sandlapper Elementary School, and their principals, Dr. Robert Scotland from Killian and Linda Hall from Sandlapper. The Department of Transportation and Safe Routes to Schools have named them our outstanding crossing guards for the state of South Carolina based on their dedication to safety and close relationships with the schools they serve. Crossing guards brave traffic and weather to assist students. They serve as safety role models for the children and play a vital role in reminding adults to drive safely in school zones. Thank you for your important job, and congratulations on this great award. And now that concludes my awards, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jackson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ruth. I'd like to also, part of the special recognition, to recognize a special guest that we have with us tonight, and that's some young men from Boy Scout Troop number 2. They meet at St. John's Episcopal Church, and they are working on their citizenship and community badge, merit badge, which is required for becoming an Eagle Scout, which is very impressive. I'm certain that everyone in here realizes how tremendously difficult that is, and what tremendous effort it takes to become an Eagle Scout. Scoutmaster, and if I mispronounce your name, please forgive me. Scoutmaster is Mr. Philip, is it Lockridge? Okay. Assistant Scoutmaster, Mr. Phil Sharpie. Okay. And parents, Mr. Robert Haas, Mr. Jonathan Fomby, and Mr. Martin Cagle. I'd like to ask the young men in troop number 2 if you come up so we can recognize you. Let's give them a round of applause.
I'm Conrad Haas. I'm homeschooled.
Okay.
I'm Ronnie Sharpie, and I'm also homeschooled.
Okay.
I'm Mavis Cagle, and I go to Ben Lippin.
All right. Yeah. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. With the change in the election, we have 3 new board members to join us, and we're very excited to have them as members of the board, and we're off to a tremendous start. But I did not want to not take the opportunity to acknowledge 2 of our former past board members who served this district for a number of years. Ms. Melinda Anderson served on the school board for 24 years, and she was first elected in 1990 and re-elected several times in 1994, 1998, 2002, 2006, and 2010. She served in a number of different capacities as chairman, vice chairman, and secretary for the Richland 2 board. She served a total of 24 years in this district, being involved with a number of committees and special advisory board committees, teacher of the year selection committees, and many, many others, too numerous to name. Ms. Anderson was a member of the South Carolina Board Association Board of Directors for 8 years, and she completed all 6 levels of the South Carolina School Boards Association Boardmanship Institute, and served for several years as a trainer for the school board statewide. Ms. Anderson was not able to be with us tonight, but I did want to acknowledge her years of service to Richland School District 2. Also, another board member, Ms. Barbara Spector, who served this district for a number of years as well. Ms. Spector served on the board for 12 years. She was first elected in 2002 and re-elected in 2006 and 2010. Ms. Spector served as the secretary of the board, vice chairman of the board, and interim chairman during her years on the board. She's volunteered on several school foundations in the district as well as the PTAs. Ms. Spector has 3 children who graduated from Richland School District 2. She's also completed level 6, which is the highest level of the South Carolina School Board Association Boardmanship Institute, and was recognized as an active member of the National Affiliate Program with the National School Board Association. Ms. Spector was also not able to join us tonight, but please join me in acknowledging the service of these 2 individuals who served our district. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is our student focus. Dr. Ham.
We're going to be having a presentation from some of our outstanding high school students, and to introduce them, Nancy Gregory will do those honors.
Good evening. Richland 2 schools have had a significant impact on our community historically during the holiday season via a variety of holiday projects. Tonight, we have the pleasure of having representatives from each of our high schools to give us a brief overview of those giving projects, starting with Blythewood High School.
Good evening. I am Reagan Sadler, the 2014 Blythewood High School Holiday Wishes Chairperson.
And I'm Amanda Price, the 2014 co-chairperson.
Each year, our school organizes a winter service project called Holiday Wishes that benefits 4 different areas of need in our community. This year, our first goal is to collect 20,000 canned goods, which will be donated to God's Storehouse. Our second goal is to collect 4,000 children's books, which will be donated to Palmetto Health Children's Hospital.
Our third goal is to collect 450 stuffed stockings, which will be donated to the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation and given to the children suffering from sickle cell disease. And finally, we have partnered with the local Families Helping Families initiative to provide gifts to needy families across the Midlands. As of today, we have adopted over 120 families.
Blythewood is fortunate to be a part of Richland 2 as we give back to those in need in our community. We admire our sister schools' efforts and appreciate the support we receive from the district office and the school board during the holiday season. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bryce Janvrin, and I'm a senior chairman for Hope 365 at Richland Northeast High School. This year, our main 3 collections are for non-perishable food items, clothing items, and toys. Our goal for food items is 30,000, and these items, once collected, will be donated to God's Storehouse. Our goal for toys is 250, and these will be donated to Palmetto Children's Hospital. Our goal for clothing is 500 items, which will be distributed both to Transitions Homeless Recovery Center as well as God's Storehouse. This year, we've had to reach out to a lot of community sponsors, and we've been working very hard to reach out to much more sponsors. In fact, we've almost quadrupled our amount of sponsors this year in order to achieve our substantial goals. By doing this, we are well on our way to reaching our food goal. We've more than tripled our clothing goal, and we've already achieved our toy goal.
Good evening. My name is Logan Humphreys, and I'm the chair of Winter Wishes at Ridgeview High School. We have 4 main goals this year, and our first project is our foster child project. Our goal is 85 children, and 75 of which come from Richland County DSS, and 10 of which are Ridgeview students. Our second project is our canned goods goal, and our goal this year is 13,000 cans. We are donating those cans to Harvest Hope this year, and we will be collecting them up until Friday, and any monetary donations will also go towards our can goal. Our third project is our Giving Bowl, which is something unique to Ridgeview. We have a night where the teachers can bring in soups and sweets, and we have a competition, and we sell tickets to our community members and our students and faculty to come and try the soups and the sweets, and we have winners every year. And our fourth project is our Therapy Dog project. It's new to Ridgeview this year, and we wanted to reach out to our military population at the school, and we are going through Canine Angels in Myrtle Beach, and they train therapy dogs for veterans. So our goal for that was $2,000, and our goal for the Giving Bowl was also $2,000. So we have our assembly tomorrow morning at 9:30, and we are inviting everyone to come. If you would like to come, we ask you to arrive at 9:15, where we will provide a light breakfast for everyone. So I'd hope to see you all there.
Hi, my name is Casey McNabo. I'm the chairman of Winter Days at Spring Valley High School. Winter Days consist of 7 drives that we collect various items in. Our goals for this year are as follows. This year we're trying to collect 21,000 canned good items, 1,500 new toys, $5,000 to be donated to Children's Garden, 100 sponsored foster children, 850 children's books, 500 blankets and coats, 650 toiletry bags to be donated to the homeless in our area, and 200 stuffed stockings. All of our items get donated to various organizations in our community, including Harvest Hope Food Bank, the Hannah House, Oliver Gospel Mission, and Transitions Homeless Center, among various other organizations. Our assembly is on December 19th, and we welcome anyone in our community to come celebrate with us and celebrate the hard work that our student body has put forth. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Bailey Bird. I'm the student body president at Westwood High School. Westwood students practice giving of their time year-round, and we believe that there are many ways to give, not just financially. Our annual Wishes of Westwood theme this year is the Elf Days of Giving. This season, our main projects are our canned food drive, which is split up into 2 components. First is our backpack program, which takes care of our needy children in our own school first. And then after that, we reach out to the Community Assistance Bridge program, which provides food for the people of the Blythewood community. We also sponsored 74 foster children and had a party for them earlier this week where Santa and his elves helped deliver presents to each one of them. We also collected newspapers and blankets for the Blythewood Animal Hospital to help keep them warm in the cold months to come. And we collected toys for Richland Memorial Hospital and clothes for Trisha's Trunk, which is a program in Blythewood that gives free clothes to the community once a month. We also donated shoes to the Shoes for the Soul program, which is another local organization. Again, we strive to keep all of our givings local, and we encourage students to give of their time and talents throughout the school year. Thank you.
We want to thank these students for their leadership and all of our schools for the great community projects that they have going on. Board members, at your places you have a bookmark, and on the bookmark is a listing of all of the holiday celebrations, the dates and times, and we would love for you to join us in the schools for these projects. And again, we are thrilled for what a difference our students in schools are making in the community. Thank you.
Let's thank those students for the great job of the schools. So, yeah. Great job. Great job. Students, just so you know, a number of board members here tonight will be at your schools, be a part of those celebrations. We look forward to being with you, starting with Ridgeview on tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is our public participation. We had one person to sign up, and that is Jamie Banks. I'll ask Jamie Banks if you'll come forward at this time. And if you come forward and state your name again and your address, and you will have 3 minutes to share your thoughts with the board.
My name is Jamie Banks. Sorry, I'm a little disorganized. My address is 205 Mayo Road, Columbia, South Carolina, 29229. Dr. Ham, Chair, other board members, I appreciate you giving me this chance to come up. Some of you might be familiar with my face because I came to a board meeting on September 9th and spoke in reference to my son being bullied in middle school. And I'm coming back again because I don't feel quite comfortable with how things are being handled. I'll briefly just start again. As we know, school started on the 20th of August. On the 28th of August, I received a phone call that my son had been in a physical altercation. I came to learn that he was slapped and that he was also pushed, and that he pushed the child back after this occurred, and both boys were suspended. I was upset because this was a child that my son had problems with previously, and not administration as far as the principal at Kelly Mill last year. He was unaware, but the guidance counselor, and I guess they call it the grade principal assigned to the 6th grade, he was made aware of the incident. The child was just spoken to. On September 1st, I contacted now the 7th grade principal and just let him know that, you know, there was an altercation last year and that I felt that it wasn't handled appropriately and that I would like to see something done because, you know, each year my son and this child will be moving up. And if he stays here longer and if they're zoned in the same place, then they'll then be in high school together as well. On September 5th, I emailed again in reference to another child that actually had been part of instigating the altercation from August 28th. And then there was also another problem with a child a grade above my son. I would like to say that he's been proactive, but I feel like maybe the kids aren't quite getting it because it's repeated. On November 12th, I emailed the grade principal again because a child that had been mentioned before now had hit my son in the arm and was instigating a fight after school, which didn't occur. I got a reply back again. Every time that I reach out, I keep being told that it's being investigated. And I'm not quite sure that when it comes to bullying, if you're looking for bruises or if you're looking for my son to be dragged for it to be taken seriously, but that's how I'm feeling. And I don't think that as a parent I should feel like that. You know, he's telling you he's been hit. He's a real timid child. He doesn't really, you know, he's not boisterous. He's not really, you know, out there. So he comes home and he tells me, because I leave the door open for all of my children. I have an elementary school child, middle school, and high school.
2 more seconds.
Yeah.
2 more seconds.
Okay. And I just want to talk, the policy says zero tolerance. Zero tolerance, and even as recent as right before Thanksgiving break, I had a child curse at my son, another child shoulder checking him. So I would like to see the district apply the policy just for every school and not have it be at the discretion, because if it's zero tolerance, then it's zero tolerance for my child being bullied, for my neighbor's child being bullied, for any child being bullied. So I would really like for you guys to look back into that policy again.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Though we do not, so the general public understands, though we do not respond to public participation comments during our open board meeting, someone from the district will be getting back and responding, looking into it and responding appropriately to that concern. No one else has signed up for public to participate in the public participation session. However, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to come and address the board, you may do so at this time. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is voting on the executive session items. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion for our student appeals that student number 1 attend Blythewood Academy. Student number 2, Blythewood Academy with the RAID Act. Student number 3, Blythewood Academy. Student number 4, student back to their home school on strict probation with community service. Student number 5, Blythewood with the RAID Act. Student number 6, Blythewood with the RAID Act. Student number 7, Blythewood Academy. Student number 8, deny the appeal. Student number 9, student back to their home school with family services. Student number 10, Blythewood Academy. Student number 11, Blythewood Academy, and the student is not to ride the bus for the remainder of the year. Student number 12, Anna Boyd. And then students 13 and 14 both deny the appeals.
Motion is made by Mr. Manning. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Ms. Brill. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Yes, I did. Yeah, it didn't come through. Yes, I wanted to vote yeah. Something down here. Okay. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is contractual matters. Dr. Ham?
let's table that. We didn't have a chance to discuss it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Chair will entertain a motion to table this item.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Been moved by Mr. Manning. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Mackey. We'll table item number 9.5 to our next board meeting. There's no further discussion. We're ready to vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, under old business, action requested, the approval of a calendar for the year 2015-2016. Dr. Ham?
You had a chance to hear about this calendar before, but Libby Roof is here in case you have any questions, and you have a copy of the calendar, I think, at your places as well.
Board members, there were no changes. We received no comments or changes from the first reading last month. We did receive 2 drafts that Richland School District 1 is considering, and our major holidays, winter break, Thanksgiving, spring break, line up with those dates with both those drafts. If the calendar is approved tonight, then we will work on potential dates for half-days as well as shoring up the purpose and the use of that time as far as professional development, collaborative planning, come back to the board after the first of the year with those dates to add to the calendar. Are there any questions?
Mr. Manning.
Just on the half days, I know that was a request I had. And no matter what we end up doing with half days or professional days, I know we do a lot of teacher training, but also just ask that we make sure to leave some time for our teachers to truly be able to get done the work that they need to in their classrooms and not always fill the day up with training. Maybe make it optional or whatever, but give some time for them to work in the classroom.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Other questions or comments on the board? I'd like to make sure we thank the committee that worked on this calendar and thank them very much for the hard work that they did this year in getting it through so smoothly. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chair, I make a motion that we approve the calendar
Been
as presented.
Been moved by Mr. Manning. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Plank. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is under new business, no action requested. The report on the comprehensive annual financial audit. Dr. Ham.
Yeah, our audit has been completed. Dr. Miley is here as well as our auditor, so I'll let him lead this presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Ham, members of the audience. I've asked the auditors from Burkett, and Burkett to come and present our results of our audit. As you know, it's due to the State Department of Education on December the 1st. It was submitted. The hard copies were distributed to you. And before I introduce Matthew Hodges, he's a senior auditor with Burkett, I just wanted to mention that also without the hard work of our staff, and particularly Shelley Allen, this audit would not have gotten done on time. So I wanted to express my thanks to her and our staff. And with that, I'll introduce Matthew.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Ham, and members of management, I want to thank you tonight for your time and the opportunity to present the results of our audit for fiscal year 2014. First, I'll provide a brief introduction to our staff and present our required audit communications, as well as present a brief financial summary from your financial reports. First of all, our team, Larry Montague is our audit partner. He is in charge of all South Carolina School District audits that we perform and approves issuance of our audit reports for those, as well as all governmental and nonprofit audits that we perform out of our West Columbia office. Hayward Barnes is another one of our senior auditors. Hayward oversaw the performance of the procurement audit, as well as the GASB 34 conversion. and I oversaw the single audit test of compliance for Richland 2. We certainly want to express our thanks to Dr. Miley as well as Shelley Allen and the entire business services team and all the employees of the district for all of their cooperation in making this an effective and efficient audit this year as it was last year. In regards to our audit, we tested the transactions of the school district based on our knowledge of the district. We used our professional judgment in determining sample sizes. Those sample sizes were designed to achieve reasonable but not absolute assurance as to the propriety of the financial statements, as well as whether any instances of non-compliance might be out there. And we noted no instances of non-compliance with district policies, federal or state regulations. We did provide 3 audit reports as a result of our audit. First, our audit report in accordance with the AICPA's generally accepted auditing standards on your financial statements. That report issued an unmodified or clean opinion on your financial statements. Second, our report in accordance with governmental auditing standards on your internal controls over financial reporting. Once again, that report noted no instances of discrepancies or deficiencies in internal controls. And lastly, we issued our report on internal controls and on compliance with major federal award programs. Once again, we issued a clean or unmodified opinion noting no instances of non-compliance with those major federal award programs. We had no significant changes in accounting policies during fiscal year 2014. There were no disagreements whatsoever with management in regards to the performance of our audit. We're not aware of any consultations with any other CPA firms. There were no issues discussed prior to our retention as your auditors. There were no significant difficulties whatsoever in our performance of your audit, and we received full cooperation from all of your personnel, so we thank them again for that. Richland 2 is in excellent financial position thanks to the foresight of you, the board, Dr. Ham and your staff, and the proof is there. The bond ratings continue to be excellent once again, a A1 rating from Moody's, as well as AA- ratings from Fitch and from S&P. And the next point I certainly want to just bring to your attention at the forefront, because that is outstanding. These certificates of excellence in financial reporting from both ASBO for the school business officials as well as the GFOA, that is 27 consecutive years that your staff has received those certificates. There is a very detailed review that is done of your financial statements by experts from both of those organizations, and a very long checklist. And we know a lot about checklists, so that's saying something. But again, it's just very impressive that you have continued to receive that. We see no reason why your staff won't receive that once again for this fiscal year 2014 report. Richland 2, as you know, is a growing district. That is evidenced by the increase in student population, a 1.3% increase or 344 students from the prior fiscal year. Your property value growth also increased 1.8% from the prior year. So growth in those numbers, we see the growth in the financial side as well. For the 11th consecutive year, your district has increased your general fund balance. That increased by $4.5 million for fiscal year 2014. Your policy is to maintain a minimum of 7 to 15% of your operating budget in the general fund balance. With your balance of $38.3 million, that comes out to a percentage of 17.1%. So once again, excellent, excellent. Any questions from the board regarding our audit?
Questions or comments on the board? I'm certain I'm not reading it correctly, and I'm sure I don't understand it, and I have no desire to micromanage, but I want to ask a question about the self-insurance program that the district has in place with the workman's comp. And when I looked at the numbers, and I'm probably reading them incorrectly, it looked as if we have gone from several $1 million at the end of the year now down to $795,000. Am I reading that incorrectly, or have we just paid out a lot of claims? Okay. And so that bottom line being so little now doesn't concern us. That's not really an audit question. That's more of a CFO question, I guess. Okay. Other questions or comments on the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'll get with you later, Dr. Miley. Question. I said I'll get with you later for other questions. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any other questions, comments on the board? Thank you very much for that, once again, stellar audit report. Contribute to the excellent work of our finance department. Next on our agenda is the update on the Ridgeview facilities. Dr. Ham?
Jack Carter is here to make our monthly report on our continuing progress at Ridgeview.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get right to the business at hand. We've just about completed what the district's piece of the work on the field was, which is basically relocating some water lines and power so that we can put them into an area in which the installer will actually put a box in, so that on the visitor side and the home side, they'll have access to power and water. If you happen to have ridden by the field lately, you see about half of the field has no sod left on it. We've been cutting that off and using it all around the district. Primarily at Ridgeview, but we have some other places we use it. We got about another half of the field, which we hope to get off tomorrow. We're actually going to store that in a couple of places where we have some erosion issues and use that to help us control some erosion. The meeting for tomorrow has actually been moved up to 2 o'clock to accommodate the vendor. I'm actually going to be out of town, but Mr. Gooch and Mr. Petoskey and I have had long discussions, and they know what to talk to the vendor about, and I've talked to the vendor 100 times. The lighting design is complete. We're going to bid it on the 18th of December. We did have a pre-bid, and we had a good turnout for the pre-bid on the 3rd. The plan right now is as soon as the main field is complete, we will commence work on the lacrosse field. That way they won't be short of field, because obviously the main field is lighted. We ran into what we thought was going to be a code issue. We got that solved, so we're good to go. By doing it on the 18th of December, it gives a time for the contractors to get in the items they need. The long lead item is the poles. They're actually 90 feet, 20 feet in the ground, 70 feet above the ground. Again, our work continues on design, and we'll be coming back to the school here after the first of the year, have some more detailed discussions with our design team. And we're not in a big hurry to make a decision on the lockers for removal, but we'll do that sometime in the spring.
Questions or comments from the board?
Chair.
Mr. Manning.
On the lighting the field, did we meet with the homeowners association? Are we okay with the upper field being the lit field?
Well, Brenda has had some feedback today, actually this morning, I think.
Good evening. Your question, yes, we have met with the homeowner association representative. There is a larger homeowners association meeting scheduled for January the 20th, I believe, and typically they use our facilities. And so at that meeting, I am also going to talk to the residents to address any concerns that they may have and see if there's a way we can bridge the gap to meet the needs of those residents and the needs of our school.
So if we're unsure of which field we're lighting, how do we get an accurate bid depending on?
One in practice.
Okay. I didn't know if distance away from electrical boxes or.
I'm sorry. We'll be able to handle that. As long as we got the materials in hand, we can make adjustments to the plan. If for some reason there's real big pushback from the homeowners association, we could go to the other field. We can make that work too. So we'll have a lighted field somewhere. Right now we're moving as if the homeowners will accept the upper field, but if they don't, we'll adjust as needed.
Other question, who's on the design team for the auditorium/media center?
The architect is Don Altman, who's an independent architect now and does small jobs for us and has for the last several years. And then he works with the school. We've had discussions with Brenda. We've had discussions with the drama teacher, Wendy Weimer. and the media specialist. We've talked to all those people. And we'll bring in a furniture consultant. The furniture consultant has done several of our schools, and so it's a really strong team.
Okay. One last question.
Sure.
Dr. Miley, on our reserve fund, I know the auditor said we're around 17%. Did that number include the dollars we've already allocated for this project, or was that out of sync?
That was as of June 30th.
Okay.
So the dollars we allocated for this will come out of that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the board? Yes, Ms.
That
Mackey.
you're talking about, you'll be there as well, Mr. Carter, or just the principal?
For
The homeowners meeting, the larger meeting you're talking about, is it just the principal or will the
if he wants
operations?
to be there, I'll be there. I can have the engineers there with the plan as well. That's whatever she thinks is best to deal with the homeowner association. We just approved their request to use the facility. They ought to be nice to us.
Thank you.
The Auditorium Media Center, the work's going to begin in June. What's the timeline for completion?
We plan on having them both back up by the time school starts. It's more extensive in the auditorium because it's some overhead stuff, and as long as we don't run into anything significant, we should be back by the time school starts. We did talk to Wendy, and if we run a week over, she can live with that. But the media center should go fairly quickly.
Don't they do an annual play, Dr. Mack? And that's typically when?
Typically in the spring.
In the spring.
So she's fine, but second semester, she needs to have access.
Thank you very much. Other questions or comments from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is policy GBEBC, gifts to and solicitations by staff. Dr. Ham?
Mr. Chairman, we originally brought an interpretation question to you about this policy because on our intranet, we have what we consider an electronic bulletin board for people sort of selling items. And as we looked at the policy, there were questions about gifts for teachers and other issues that are also included in the policy. So we went back and did a review of the policy. And Roosevelt Garrick, Tom Cranmer, and Libby Roof have all worked on the policy. And so they're going to make a report back to you on. I think we've made some, well I'll let them report.
Mr. Chair, gentlemen of the board, as far as the policy is concerned, we recommend no changes to the policy itself. We do have an explanation as far as the marketplace, which is the electronic bulletin board. That was included in your packet. And employees in the district can sell personal items on the inside to marketplace. These are items that include usually single items, event tickets, a vehicle, a house, a baby carriage, bicycle, those type things. And we see no problem with that, and it does not conflict with the policy. But any employee who sets up, quote unquote, storefront and sells items would be against the policy.
Questions or comments from the board? Mr. Garrett, who will monitor? Yeah, Ms. Mackey.
Are we just clarifying this for general purposes, or is there a reason that we're concerned?
Well, the question came up when an employee wanted to participate in a holiday marketplace at one of our schools where community members came in and sold their items that they made or whatever, and was denied. So we brought that forth for clarification.
Other questions or comments from the board? Question I was asking in terms of who will monitor it to ensure that they stay in compliance.
We changed the marketplace now where anything posted has to be approved,
right.
And that will be approved by my office to ensure that basically your little side businesses are not advertised, and so we've addressed that.
Very much.
Mr. Chair, can I ask
Mr.
a
Manning.
question?
Certainly.
I noticed in our policy, it talks about the fact that even as a group gift to like a supervisor is discouraged. That seems to me, I mean, I haven't worked anywhere where that's typically in writing discouraged, not meaning that it's not common practice, but I assume that's there because we've had some issues, or you feel like that causes impropriety, or?
No, I don't have the background on this as far as it went back, but that's been a practice, not prohibiting it, but discouraging it, and we saw no problem with discouraging, but we did see a problem with absolutely prohibiting, because that would put us in a very awkward situation as to consequences and things like that.
Thank you.
Mrs. Brill?
I was not aware of your marketplace. Has that been going on for some time?
It's been here since I think since we started the intranet. Sorry, Mr. Garrett. And it's pretty much a similar practice in the previous district where I came from. We just had to monitor it to make sure. Some people just don't understand the ethics law, and basically it's because of the ethics law that prohibits employees from doing that, and so we just are now monitoring it consistently.
Do board members participate?
That's a technology question.
Technical standpoint, you could, but you have to be a district employee with a login to be able to.
Oh, okay. That takes care of that question.
Yeah. It's really an employee.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the report on the Diversity Task Force. Dr. Ham?
One of the 9 priority areas that we identified was the diversity of our school district, and we have identified a diversity task force. Katina Davis is one of the folks that's working on that, and she's going to make a report on the progress that's made thus far. One of our commitments was to the board that we would bring you periodic progress reports. This is not a finished, this is not nearly finished, but we have convened the task force and she's giving you a progress report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Ham. I'm pleased to share with you the first update of the Richland 2 Diversity Task Force. We have 4 facilitators, Dr. Davis and myself, as members of the executive staff. We volunteered to help lead this particular task force, and then through discussion we decided to get some school-based people involved. So we invited Clarissa Bennett, who's an assistant principal at Round Top, to serve as one of the facilitators. And we invited her because she has a long-term participation in diversity initiatives in the district and was actually the lead diversity coach and collaborated with our retired deputy superintendent to do some actual work in the district. And then we decided to invite Ron Huff, who's our Hispanic family liaison. He has a direct connection with our Hispanic community, and we thought that he would bring a wealth of knowledge to the table. The purpose of the comprehensive diversity plan is we're going to create a living document that will capture our district systems, policies, and practices as related to diversity. And this document will, of course, be aligned with our district's mission and support our district's strategic plan. The Diversity Task Force actually came out of Dr. Ham's superintendent's retreat that was held this summer. It was one of the 9 priorities, and you've heard about those. And so during our back to school administrative in-service, we spent some time working on those 9 priorities. And so we, of course, worked on diversity. And during that meeting, we had people actually sign up to participate on the task force and also provide us feedback as to what their concerns were. And some of the concerns related to, of course, instruction, reaching out to our Hispanic community, and access to programs. Following that meeting, we had an organizational meeting, and Dr. Davis and Clarissa and I had a meeting and talked about what our next steps would be. Ron was actually participating and leading up. He's very involved, so he wasn't able to participate that day. So Dr. Davis and Clarissa and I met for about an hour to develop our agenda and plan out what our projects would be for this year. And then last week we had our initial task force meeting. During that initial meeting, we had approximately 27 people participate. We invited 35. People had prior obligations, but we had participants from Fort Jackson, Department of Social Services, USC, and community parent organizations. And of course, we had district personnel. And we invited everyone to participate as equal members, and we wanted everyone to be open and honest about their concerns. During that meeting, we talked about what is diversity, and the district actually has a working definition for diversity, which was shared with you in your one-pager that was provided in your packet. We updated the members on Richland 2 diversity initiatives. For example, we've had an ongoing minority recruitment initiative. We've done Habits of Mind to develop a common language for the district. We have a great partnership with Francis Marion, and last year they came in and did some work with us on poverty. So we've actually been very engaged in diversity initiatives. We looked at board policy and had a great conversation regarding the policy and our implementation of that policy. Being the teacher that I am, I overplanned the agenda, so we did not get to every item that I had on the agenda, so we didn't get into the demographic data, but we will do that at our next meeting. But we did talk about our focus areas for diversity. We're going to, of course, look at students. That will be one of our broad topics. And we'll look at discipline, and that's actually a subset of Mr. Smith's committee, is discipline and diversity. And I'm actually working on that subcommittee with Dr. Davis, and we'll be looking at how we can tie our diversity plan into what's going on with the discipline task force. We're going to talk about staff and recruitment. Parents, how do we get our parents involved? Do we have initiatives to bring our parents to the table? And community partnerships. And also we're going to continue looking at recruitment of minority businesses. That was one area that we talked about. And we've discussed that we're going to wait until our new procurement officer comes on. We want them to join the committee and provide us some feedback and help us with that area. So our next steps, we're going to continue, of course, looking at data. We're going to pull out some staff demographic data. We're going to get an update on the district's recruitment of staff and actually have a meeting with Human Resources tomorrow to discuss where we are with recruitment so that we'll be well prepared for our meeting. And then we're going to discuss student access to programs. And that's access to magnet programs. And I'm actually already collaborating with Nancy Gregory and her task force so that we can tie our task force together, making sure that it's within our living document. And then, of course, we're going to look at literature. It's very important for us to read what's going on around the country. So that's briefly what we've been doing in addition to what you received in your packet. Thank you.
Questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, I have a
Dr. Elkins Johnson.
First of all, Ms. Davis, you guys have been doing a lot of work, so I do appreciate that. And a lot going on, and I guess my main question is you all have so much going on. Can you tell me what's your top priority with this diversity task force? Because you have so many hats and so many things going on. So what is going to be the top priority on the combined list of things that you gave us?
I think for us right now, it's our students and our student access to programs. That was a really big topic for our parents, and of course that's important as we are in the middle of ending this school year and starting another school year. Are there any changes that we can make? Nancy and I had a great conversation on Monday about that, what can we do, and she's going to talk about that a little bit further, but looking at access to programs and not just magnets, but looking at our gifted and talented numbers, our representation in special ed. So I think, of course, we always want to start with our students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Other questions or comments from the board? Ms. Mackey.
You mentioned the new recruitment officer with regard to minority vendors and providers. What's the timeline for the new recruitment officer?
Dr. Miley can answer that.
Okay.
We were approved to do that back probably 6 or 8 months ago. We advertised, we made a selection, they accepted, they declined and backed out. So we're reviewing the process again and probably reopening the process again. So we're still looking for that procurement officer. It's way behind what we'd like.
Thank you.
Ms. Manning.
To kind of stack on top of the minority businesses, one of the questions, Dr. Miley, that I asked a while back, which ties into it, is how we do business with our small businesses, local businesses, which I think will also help us with some of our minority businesses. It reflects what our community is. So I want to make sure that the component of working with minority businesses also gets tied to our small local businesses and how we can manage policies to allow for that. And I think there was also some data collection because we're uncertain sort of how much we do with some of our
and that
small
was
businesses currently.
That was going to be one of the top priorities of the procurement officer. Since that did happen like it has, I've already begun. We can start that process before the procurement officer gets here. We've started collecting some information on what other school districts and other local government offices are doing in their business plans so that we can move that forward even as we're waiting to hire the next procurement officer.
Thank you.
I think that's very important, Dr. Miley, because as you know, when we get that report, that's one of the sore points and disappointing statistics of our district. We want to make sure that we have a better answer in terms of a strategy this time around. So thank you for taking the initiative to be proactive on that. Other questions or comments on the board? Ms. Davis, I think I hear you say that in looking at the sort of the development of the engaging piece and involvement piece, hopefully it's going to include some professional development for teachers and administrators as they deal with this growing diverse population. My question is, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but because they haven't thought through it yet, I'm sure you will, and that is that we will not miss the opportunity of paying real close attention to what's happening nationally around this issue, particularly as it relates to black males, and making sure that as we work through our next meetings that we don't just sort of not discuss that. We put that out there, put that out up front and center, and how does it impact our district, and how does it impact perceptions and responses to students, and making sure that that conversation takes place.
Yes, sir. We've had, Dr. Davis and I had a very brief conversation. When we actually first were in the district, we had what we call Strategy 18, where we focused on African-American males specifically. So that was something that was kind of weaved into what are some things we've done in the past that we may need to weave back into what we're doing with our comprehensive plan.
Thank you so much. Other questions or comments on the board?
Chair.
Mr. Manning.
Last comment. I want to make sure, I think that one of the statistics that I heard recently, I attended my brother's Keeper, which is a presidential program that he's really pushing. The city of Columbia did some work, and I thought it was interesting because there were some really honest discussions about teachers and effectiveness, particularly with our young African-American males and Latino males. And what I found interesting was there was some initial research that showed that sometimes the profile of what that teacher looked like who is successful may not always be what we imagine it to be. I was surprised when I heard that there are times where some of our young white teachers, females, were more successful sometimes than some others. So I want to make sure we really look at that profile and make sure that we truly understand and it's not just a gut feeling, because sometimes our guts will, lead us down the wrong direction. And make sure we take an honest look at that.
Other questions or comments on the board? When did you say the next meeting is going to be?
The next meeting will be in January. I'm actually going to do a survey to see when we could get the best participation. So we're picking 2 days, and we'll definitely share that with you if you're interested in coming by.
Thank you very much. Some more? Okay. Magnus Part 2, the application procedures. Dr. Ham?
Yeah, this is another progress report. Magnets is another one of the 9 priority areas, and we're kind of going through step by step, trying to make improvements in our magnet programs. And Nancy Gregory is going to sort of do Magnets Part 2, looking at application procedures and how we think we can make improvements in that process.
Hi. Good evening, Chairman Jackson, members of the board, Dr. Ham. We last spoke with you in the early fall about magnets, and so tonight we have kind of a magnet progress report for you. There are 5 focus areas that we have identified: Magnet Task Force, continuity and program demand, multiple entry points, accessibility and transportation, and continuous quality improvement. Starting with bullet number 1, a magnet task force, we have also established a task force of parents, community members, teachers, and administrators. Along with feedback from over 200 district administrators this summer, our task force has identified magnet priorities and is working on those next steps. We will meet again on January the 20th. On bullet number 2, for continuity and program demand, we conducted an extensive program review of magnets last spring to look at the continuum of magnets from elementary to middle to high. In addition, we examined program demand to see where there was a need for replication of programs and in reference to current and future competition in the Northeast community. If you will remember from one of our earlier meetings, we have created 3 new magnets for 2015-16, the Leadership Academy at Muller, ELC at Forest Lake, and the Language Immersion Program at Polo Road. We are also making revisions for the coming year to 3 magnet programs, CFA, FAME at Dent, and the merger of iLink and Convergence Media. On bullet number 3, with multiple entry points, expanded choice and magnet opportunities for students via multiple entry points have been identified. And we're going to come back to this in just a few minutes as our focus for this evening. Number 4, as Ms. Davis talked about, accessibility and transportation. We are presently working with the Diversity Task Force on this and are going to come back to you in the near future with a report on that. And then finally, number 5, continuous quality improvement. We've identified metrics and are in the process of conducting an ongoing systematic review of our magnets or evaluation of our magnets for continuous quality improvement. And tonight, we would like to focus on bullet number 3, as we mentioned, multiple entry points. Roger Wiley, District Registrar, and Ms. Dawn Whitley, who is our Director of Academic Initiatives, will share 2015 updates on the choice application procedures for expanded choice and for magnets.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Ham, we're here to talk with you about additional opportunities for choice application for the 2015-2016 school year. I think we have a very strong rationale for offering additional opportunities for choice. We're seeing trends in the district. We're seeing a lot of families that are moving in after that January choice period, between that January choice period and August. If they're not here in January, they don't have a chance to participate in that formal process. So when they come in and they ask, how do we go about participating in choice or getting into magnet programs, we're doing this on a piece-by-piece basis, and we're managing a lot of data informally. So we know we have high interest from move-ins. We'd like the opportunity to be able to communicate availability of magnet programs and expanded choice seats to our community because we know they're there. At the end of our acceptance and selection period in March, we have open seats. We also need a better data management system. As we said, we're getting calls that are coming in continually. We're dealing with them case by case. This second wave of choice and third wave of choice will give us the opportunity to systematically go through the selection process again.
And of course, choice 1, we're referencing our current traditional choice application process that exists. But after choice 1 is completed, academics and planning, we continue to get an enormous number of requests from parents seeking to get into the school they wish to get into and also the programs that they would like to attend. Providing choice 2 and choice 3 is going to give us a formal process in which we can approve students for expanded choice, school-wide magnets, and magnet programs over an extended period of time. Choice 2 would operate very similar to choice 1, but there will be some exceptions. Once choice 1 is over, and we go into the choice 2 period, students who were accepted for a choice and magnet program during the choice 1 application period would not be eligible to participate in choice 2 because they already have a program and we want to continue to serve as many students as we can. Additionally, schools, many of our schools, probably 80 to 90% of them, through expanded choice, reach their capacity. We can no longer put any more in those schools, so those schools will not be open for choice 2. So it'll allow us to approve additional students for schools that have the capacity to take on more students. But the similarities will be that, for expanded choice and school-wide magnets, we'll continue to do that computerized lottery selection program. We'll select those through the lottery process. All students will continue to, all Richland 2 students will continue to do their application online via our application program. We also open it to students who live outside the district if they can show where they're going to have a pending move into our school district within that time frame before our June 5th deadline.
For our competitive magnets, Choice 2 is also very similar to Choice 1. They'll apply online. We will look at grades, teacher recommendations, test scores, interview, writing sample, activity, or audition. So that part is very similar. The students that were residing in Richland 2 during Choice 1 and had the opportunity to apply to our competitive magnets will not participate in Choice 2. We have very few seats open during Choice 2. And we think we can be fair to everyone if there is one opportunity for choice for selective magnets within that. Those Choice 2 applicants that come through will be added to the existing weight pools. We may have some lottery-based programs, even that parents want to be added to the wait list with the next sequential number. Sometimes they just want to see what their chances are, and it gives them the opportunity to do that. With our selective magnets, again, they'll be in the waiting pool, and then the student that is best qualified for the seat will be selected should there be an available opening or any that are currently open. And if there were any students selecting options during Choice 1, they would not be eligible for Choice 2.
And I want to make a clarification on something I said with regards to Choice 1. With Choice 1, I think I said 80 to 90% of our schools will be closed to choice, and that's not true. What I meant to say is that through Choice 1, 80 to 90% of our schools, they'll get pretty much all the students who apply for those schools will be approved through that process because they don't get as many applicants as they have space. So we're probably only going to have about 3 schools that will be closed to choice because they reached their capacity, such as Spring Valley, Blythewood High School, Blythewood Middle School. Those are schools where we get an enormous number of applicants. So we can continue through Choice 2 to offer transfers through expanded choice and through magnet programs for those schools that did not reach their capacity. That was a little better explained. And Choice 3 is a continuation of that. Again, with Choice 2 and Choice 3, we've always done this. We just haven't called that. We've continued to get it. And many of your board members see some of these approvals and some of these requests from parents. So Choice 3 will give us an opportunity to use our online application again to communicate to parents, to approve students on a case-by-case basis up until the start of the school year.
Any questions about the process or anything?
Questions or comments from the board?
I don't have any questions,
Dr. Johnson.
but I just want to make a comment. I'm glad to see that we have Choice 3 because as board members, we get a lot of inquiries about Choice 3 case by case. So I thank you guys for including that as part of the presentation tonight.
Mrs. Brill.
And I do know that the Discovery Program at Spring Valley doesn't take students after freshman year. So that is an exception.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Manning.
So I'm glad to see it got cleaned up, a little easier to communicate. Because I know as a parent myself and also with other parents, it's like I feel like I need a degree in statistics or a PhD to like figure out exactly how. I mean, and I hear principals try to communicate choice and what happens if you don't get in and all the different. I mean, just many different scenarios. It's a really complicated process that I think very few people truly understand all the intricacies of it. So this does help somewhat to get through that, but I still want to continue to push us to figure out ways to find effective ways to communicate how it works, how the choice number one, choice number two, if you're in the district and you applied and you don't get in and you can't do, all the different scenarios, and continue to find ways to improve that process.
And it's certainly, even though, Roger and I are the pretty faces of the program, there are a lot of people that are working with this. We work closely with the communications department and making sure that information is getting out. We have worked closely with IT and Travis Cotton, our program, to make sure that this is even possible to do a second and third wave. He has just moved mountains to make sure that we're capable of doing it. But it's certainly a collaboration district-wide across many departments, and trying to make this successful. And as you said, explain it to everyone. We have worked a lot just wordsmithing. How do you simplify something that is so complex? Still make sure that it's correct.
Maybe even some samples or something, if you do this and this is what happens, then here's what your options are. That might be helpful. And I know I've also, one of the things I've asked for a while, I know it's complicated, we're trying to work through it, but I feel like we need to somehow find ways to help parents understand what options are there. I know we have the choice fair, but it's distributed. You walk around from booth to booth and figure out maybe this is more math focused or that one's, maybe there's a way to do some sort of workflow or categorization that would make it easy for parents in one place on the website to say, my child's interested in this, and then they can go see what schools are maybe available for those particular options. Just some thoughts.
Choice 2 and 3, we plan to do that. Previously, parents could not tell whether there were spots, so there was lots of communication generated. They would try to get in one school, and then when you get to the end of that process and explain to them very clearly after about 5 or 6 emails, and now they understand, oh, this is available, so I should have tried for this school.
Right.
So we plan to make that visible where parents can see that clearly, so it'll stop a lot of misdirected communication. They can focus on the schools and programs that are available.
Great.
We're also doing an application video to help parents through the process and just navigate the process itself. So we're hoping to do that, but I love the idea of narrowing down by student interest.
Questions or comments from the board? Ms. Mackey.
So this was born out of a need for students to have greater opportunities to participate in our magnet programs. Is that what I'm understanding clearly? There are some schools who are top-heavy, who have lots of applicants, and this kind of levels the playing field with some programs that don't. Am I understanding that correctly? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, yes, ma'am. You're exactly right. And it gives us the opportunity to communicate that. Where before we were hearing from parents that heard through the grapevine or neighborhood association and called. Now we can communicate it clearly so that we feel like we'll have a greater opportunity for people.
And to echo James's sentiments, I'd love to just be kept on the loop with how this progresses, because I get questions a lot, and I'm a parent, right. Kids with magnets, and I'd love to be able to make sure that I understand the process clearly and just to be kept in the loop as communications are disseminated, so I'll be able to answer questions intelligently when people ask.
The things that are we have a big meeting with local realtors, and one of the things they told us was there's a perception that among people who are moving to the area, if they missed this January opportunity to apply for the magnet programs, that they had no opportunity to be part of choice or magnets. And this clearly communicates that they have these additional opportunities if they move in before school starts.
He may not exercise it, but they just want to know that they have the opportunity.
Other questions, comments from the board? I'm concerned about the sort of the details of it. I won't get into all that tonight. I may well just send you an email. The details of it a little bit, in the sense that when I heard you say a person who goes through choice 1 is not eligible to participate in choice 2. My concern is if I went through choice 1, but I got my second choice, and now there are seats in my first choice, but only to those who go into choice 2, that bothers me. I wouldn't want that to happen, because some students dropped out and the seat opened up in the first choice that I wanted. I didn't get it, but now I'm not eligible to get it, and someone moving in after me now gets a shot at that. We need to think through that, because that concerns me. The other concern I have is students who are on the wait list doing choice 1. It sounds like if they're on the wait list, I'm not sure I'm clear on what happens to them. Do they get moved up above those coming and applying after that fact? Or do the persons applying in choice 2 equally compete? I'm not real clear on that, so I need You want to respond now? You want to think?
I can, if
Sure,
you'd like.
sure.
The, for lottery programs, the choice 2 students would be given the next numbers in sequence. So they would be added to the end of the wait list. For our competitive magnets, we're using the same process that we've been using. We don't maintain a wait list after a certain point. We maintain a wait pool. And that really came out of the cooperative agreement that we have with Fort Jackson in giving military students an equal opportunity. So when we revisit that pool, when there is an available seat, we look at the best qualified student in the pool at that time.
And for expanded choice, if there was a wait list, then they would be closed to choice 2, because we've already reached capacity and there's no need to open it anymore.
What about the second choice, first choice? How would you respond to that question or that issue?
This is certainly an issue that's ongoing, and we deal with it now. And the way that we've addressed this, if you accept the seat in your second choice, that takes you out of the wait list for the first choice magnet. Because if not, we have a domino effect that continues throughout the year. Now, parents certainly have the option of not accepting that second seat and remaining on the wait list for the first. That is certainly one of their options.
That concerns me. I'm not real comfortable with that someone could move here from Arizona, and because I accepted my second choice because I didn't think I would ever get my first choice, they could move here from Arizona and then get the first choice I wanted, and I've been here 9 years of school. That concerns me. We just need to think through that a little bit more to figure out how we're going to handle that. So, thank you. Any other further questions from the board? Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the agenda items for our January 13th board meeting here at Polo Road. Dr. Ham?
Yes, we'll have a faculty focus, an update on the Ridgeview facilities. We'll start sort of into the budget process with a budget timeline review. We will have a local course approval that's required by state policies that you approve local courses. And then we'll be bringing you revisions to policy IKF and ARIKF-R, which are graduation requirements. And those changes are in light of the exit examination is no longer required for graduation.
Are there any additional items that the board would like to add to the January 13th board meeting schedule or a future board meeting?
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Manning.
At the last meeting, I had a future request for a report back from our schools that had either dropped or maybe were a C below in their grades, to have a report of what the plan was and where they were going. So if we can just put that on the future, it doesn't have to be the next meeting. Just want to make sure we don't forget that.
Other, Ms. Mackey?
Kate, I'd like to be kept abreast of learn more of the Kate. I know there's some Kate, there's some concerns regarding Kate degree requirements and some, I think, statewide changes that have been implemented, and I'd love to be able to discuss those.
Thank you very much. Other items from the board? Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is a public participation part 2. No one signed up for that. However, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to, who wishes to address the board, you may feel free to come forward and do so at this time. Thank you. Next on our agenda is our board and superintendent comments. Dr. Caution Parker.
Okay. Well, first I'd like to say congratulations to all the folks this evening who were recognized or won awards for their good job in the district. That was certainly nice to see. And congratulations to our schools, our high schools, for the holiday giving projects. That's going to be just great, and they usually are. And after hearing several of the reports this evening, I just want to say that as a former employee of 34 years, and looking back from the 80s into where we are now, the growth, the development, the right direction that we're moving into, or we're moving forward with, under this great leadership that we have here in Richland too, and kudos to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Caution Parker. Dr. Elkins Johnson?
Well, our next meeting is not until January, so I'll just like to say Merry Christmas to everyone and be safe over the holidays and Happy New Year.
Ms. Mackey?
echoing the sentiments of Dr. Caution Parker. All of our award winners tonight, both within the district, our staff and our students, so proud of them, but most importantly, giving. All of the high schools that have, well, not just high schools, but the opportunities to share what they're doing to give in the community, that means so much, and I'm so proud of them. And just an acknowledgement for the people who come to these board meetings all the time, staff members and community members who sit here and pay attention and go back and share with your communities. That means so much. I know it's, sacrifice of your time, but having been on that side of the table, I just appreciate your time, and thank y'all for being here and sharing what goes on in your communities.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Mr. Plank?
Yeah, I too echo the comments that have been mentioned. It's certainly been a night of the pursuit and achievement of excellence, and it's neat to see that. Again, congratulating the award winners, the educators, and the students. It's neat to see the three young men who will be are achieving their Eagle Scout. That's neat to see. It's a night of charity as well in this season of giving. I look forward to the events coming up over the next week. And then finally, what's ahead with the Diversity Task Force, as well as taking a complex issue of the lottery, magnet, and choice program and simplifying that. I'm excited about that as well. So again, Merry Christmas, and look forward to seeing you in January.
Mrs. Brill?
But there's nothing left to say. But I am extremely proud of the audit report.
Yes.
Just makes me beam all over to think how far we've come. You open the newspaper every day and somebody else is struggling or having serious financial issues, and I'm just so proud of our staff, current and past, and proud of our board for always putting money aside, knowing that we need, a very reliable fund balance for a rainy day when those days come. So I'm just really proud of all of our students and all of our staff, especially the leaders from their schools with their presentations for their holiday giving. There's so much more to life than just education. I think it makes a person complete, the soft skills, the ability to get along with other people, the ability to give out and reach and help people in a time of need. This is really extremely stressful holiday for lots of folks. So it really makes me proud, and I'm going to be going around to some of the assemblies too, because that's just a highlight of the season. So I want to wish everyone a happy, healthy holiday. Drive safely, be safe, don't drink and drive, and we'll see you in January.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. Mr. Manning?
It would seem there's not a lot left, but I'll find some things. If we can get our finance staff to stand up and be recognized, you guys do a lot for us and keep us out of trouble. I really appreciate it. Dr. Miley, if you'll pass along your thank you. We just got back from a state conference, and I will tell you, to have the professionals that we have in this district, the work that you all do with our students every day, the quality facilities that we have, I tell you, I'm really proud of this board. I think we've really worked well together. I know we've only been 2 meetings in, but I've been excited about, honestly, about some of the issues that we've already had to discuss and how we work through them. We are just so fortunate, and to see the things that happen in other boards and other places, we have a lot to be very proud of as we go into the holidays. Jill, I want to thank you. You have a tough job. You got to keep up with all of us and enter a lot of information and get all the voting right. Thank you for the work that you do at the board meetings. You don't get recognized often for those efforts. And I just hope everybody has a great holiday season, and thank you again for all that you do.
Dr. Ham?
Well, there is more to say. What a wonderful way to end the year. Our students and faculty and staff just blow me away. What they are doing for our community, what they've accomplished is absolutely amazing. In addition to what you've already heard, we have 2 more students who have earned perfect scores on college entrance exams. Sanjay Ravindra at Spring Valley High School scored a perfect 36 on the ACT. Song Sarah Lee earned a perfect SAT score on critical reading, math, and writing on the SAT, which is really amazing. I'm sure that makes her 1 in a million, if not more. I was fortunate to go to Washington, D.C. and see Heidi Mills and Tim O'Keefe win the Outstanding Educator Award from the National Council of Teachers of English Language Arts. It's been announced that our own Terry Butts, who was one of our District Teachers of the Year, won the NEA Award, the Horace Mann Award for Teaching Excellence. She'll be honored in Washington, D.C. That's an extraordinarily prestigious national award. We're so proud of her. National Board teachers were announced. We have 20 new National Board certified teachers, 21 who earned their renewals. We've just got verification. We're #1 in the state in terms of newly certified teachers, and we're still #1 in the state in the total number of National Board certified teachers. You know, how lucky are we to have that quality of educators in Richland School District 2? And in the area of sports, I got to be there when Rodney Summers was named Football Coach of the Year, which was great. Robin Bacon is going to be the coach for the Max Emfinger All-American Classic Ball in January. So Richland 2 is full of great news at the end of the year, and I know next year is going to be even better. So there's lots to celebrate. If we weren't thankful at Thanksgiving, goodness gracious, we got more to be thankful for now.
Thank you, Dr. Ham, and I'll just say echo all that's been said. Thank you very much for being here. Have a safe and happy holidays. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second that.
Thank you. We stand adjourned. Good night, folks.